Hello and welcome back to SHOWstudio, coming to you from London, but in fact talking about Paris. In fact, we're quite international tonight because we have Paris with Yohji Yamamoto, who of course is Japanese, and here we are in England. And we have tonight done something a little different. We've asked young students to come and give us their opinions. As you know, London is renowned across the world for the quality of its art and fashion education. And we have three major colleges. They are, of course, the Royal College of Art, the London College of Fashion, and Central St Martin's. And we have representatives from all three of those colleges. And you will see that they look intelligent, and they're going to sound intelligent, and they're going to give us their view from ones who are just beginning, as it were, in fashion, their view of what they think about Yoji, and furthermore, what they think about the fashion that we've seen so far in menswear. So I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves before we start.
Hi, my name is Pan, and I'm currently a menswear student at RCA. And yeah, I did my BA in St. Martin's, and I'm very glad to be here. It's an honor to get to speak to you.
Where are you from?
I'm originally from Thailand,
Right.
and started my BA here 4 years ago. So.
Did you study in Thailand? Did you go to a college there? Or?
No, it's a funny story. I actually came to England when I was 9 for horseback riding, and so I went to prep school here and went over to America to finish off my high school, and then came back for college.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Hi, I'm Sheraz. I study at the London College of Fashion, menswear. I'm in my third year and I'm currently compiling my final collection. And I'm really pleased to be here as well and be part of this.
Is there any particular reason why you decided to do menswear as opposed to women's wear, for example?
I think menswear at the moment is becoming more diverse. I think it gives a lot more opportunity to kind of grow in terms of different visions as compared to women's wear, where it's become something where staples are being reworked, and I think it's time where menswear is kind of going through the same stages.
Is that because you feel you can all join in this really? Is it because you feel that menswear is really just beginning to become fashion? More and more men seem to be actually interested in the fashion side of it. Do you feel that?
I think it's always been part of, I think everyone's kind of involved in fashion either way. But in terms of menswear, I think it's really just started to kind of become, in terms of each individual's vision, it's become different and more diverse than it was not so long ago.
Okay, well we might come back to that later.
My name's Rebekah Maybury. I'm in my final year at St Martin's studying fashion history and theory. And I'm also very glad to be here. I really love Yohji Yamamoto, so I think it's going to be very exciting.
Oh great, so you'll have lots to say.
I hope so. Well, I hope so. Anyway.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will.
My name's Greg French. I'm a third year student at Central St Martin's, studying fashion communication and promotion. And I'm also interning here at SHOWstudio.
How long have you been doing it here? How long do you do an internship?
It sort of varies really. I think at the moment it's just helping cover the shows, which I've been watching quite closely. So it's been good to sort of monitor how it's changed across the various cities as well.
Sure. It's going to put you in a very interesting position, isn't it? Because you will have seen an awful lot that you wouldn't normally have perhaps seen.
Exactly.
Although of course we're going out from all of them, so if you're really keen you can see everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good evening, my name is Felix Chabluk-Smith. I'm currently studying at the Royal College of Art, doing my Masters in menswear. Previously I studied at Edinburgh College of Art, and like everyone else, I'm very pleased to be here.
Good. Well, we're very pleased to have you. I'm wondering if we have enough pictures for us to start talking. I'm being told no. So let's talk a little bit. Let's talk about what we all probably know about, which is London fashion. We have, as you know, 4 major fashion capitals, which I think is soon going to change. I think there are lots of other places that are coming up very quickly, and I personally welcome that, because I think it shows that we're being more diverse, and we don't just think that the only good stuff comes from the West. Because I travel a lot in Asia, and I'm sure that you might have travelled in Asia, and we know that there's a lot going on in other places. But what do you feel about the menswear we have seen from London this time? Anyone got any comments to make?
I think it's just getting better and better, really. I think,
right.
Obviously, London's always been a centre for menswear in terms of the tailor tradition.
Yes.
And then there's also been, obviously much later, the kind of countercultural styles emanating from London and spreading throughout Britain, and then, further on to America and Europe. But I think just for the past few years, really, it's sort of exploded, really. And the labels who have just started a few years ago, they're getting so much more professional and so much more of a force to be reckoned with. I think it's really exciting, actually, to be a menswear student in London right now. Yeah.
Do you get to see the shows? I mean, are you able to get in, or do you have to climb under the door or something? Do they treat you as real people, or do they say, sorry mate, you don't have a ticket and that's it? What happens?
I think if you hang around long enough, you can sort of sneak in at the back and stand somewhere.
Yes, well, there's always been a tradition of students doing that, finding their way in despite the fierceness of the guards. Although actually I don't think they've ever been as fierce here as they are in Italy and in Paris. They're very strict on it. Because now I suppose everyone's going to be a bit strict because of all the security things. But have you seen, who's seen any of the shows in person this time? Anybody?
I made it along to the Man show in London.
And what did you think?
I think Man's a really interesting one because it's about recognising, emerging British menswear designers, and people like Craig Green, who have obviously come from St Martin's as well, really sort of challenging and pushing what is conventional, not just menswear but also fashion silhouettes as well, with these sort of extreme, headpieces that go alongside it. And then they had Aggie and Sam's show as well, which was sort of a gentle nod to the British gentleman, but done in quite a contemporary way. And I think
did any of you are sorry to interrupt,
okay.
But did any of you see that show?
The Aggie and Sam?
Yes.
I was really impressed, actually.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was exactly what London's about, really. Taking the tradition and yet making it, setting it up a little with all the dogs and everything, all the different ages of the models. I thought it was super.
I think it was a nice break from, there's this vision, I think, in London menswear especially, where it's all like a bunch of designers are doing this sort of street, sort of American sportswear, hip-hop culture inspired like clothing. And you don't, like most of the shows that I've seen, did all kind of like embody that aesthetic, but Aggie and Sam captured more of the, British quirky spirit that I think that needs to come back almost, because especially in London and having the menswear week, it's so important that you should, they do the Savile Row things as well, but I think it's nice.
Does anyone else have anything to say about that particular show?
I think not that particular show, but in terms of the entire London Man Fashion Week this time, the thing about London, there's so much difference between the shows as well. Each designer's got their own particular vision. There's McQueen, which represented the English gentleman in a very sophisticated, clean way, and then J.W. Anderson introduced this whole new feminine kind of contrast between.
Can we talk a little bit about J.W.
That was very interesting.
What did you feel about it?
I thought it was hilarious.
Hilarious good or hilarious?
Well, I think it's both. I think, I think it couldn't be taken seriously, but I quite like that.
You mean as clothes that men might wear?
Well, I think what I really liked about it? I think there was a lot of things that a man could really wear to look fantastic, but then it'd be contrast with those frilly little shorts, and it would just change it. So, you could really see how it could be taken apart and turned into something else which would be completely different and very beautiful, like one of the jackets or something. But then with those shorts, it was just, I don't know, I really like that.
What about the minis?
The minis, yeah.
little mini dress. Do you have anything to say about
I
that?
just sort of see what he's trying to do in taking those very traditional menswear fabrics, like in the camel coating and
Yes.
things, and
Lovely flannel.
yeah, exactly, producing these very sort of feminine, stereotypically feminine shapes. I kind of wish it was more. Do you know what I mean? It looked a little bit timid. Putting those things out on the catwalk was very, very bold in a certain way, but I wish it was just more, really. Like, if you're going to try and say that, really go for it. And
Well, I think that the statement was made
yeah,
quite clearly, but it would be perhaps nice to have a little bit of extravagance, something like a ball dress or whatever, you know. But that isn't what he's about, really.
There was something quite timid about it, you're right. I really thought about
Or
it that way.
refined, or was it restrained? Timid or restrained, do we think?
I think it's in between.
I think
In between, all right.
I thought it was actually pretty good how it illustrated that something really simple can have such a bold statement. It didn't, compared to like some of the other London collections where there was a lot of additional kind of features in terms of the look. It was still bold, but in a very simplistic way.
I think it was very beautiful. It was very beautifully made, I thought. And after all, that's one of the key things. You've got to be able to make the clothes and make them look lovely. But I just don't... I think he's very bright, and I think he's very talented, but I just couldn't see why he wanted to do that. I still don't know why he wanted to do that.
I think
He's
it's
going to say
kind of-
something really clever and profound.
I just think it's partly because he could, because I think
Yeah.
London is the only platform in the world, I think, right now where he could get away with doing that. I don't think if he was showing in Paris or if he was showing Milan, he'd even be able to put that down the runway without...
He's also at a point in his career where he can do that now as well with his
Exactly,
Yes.
he's
menswear.
got his
Yes.
following.
Like last year wouldn't have been the same thing.
No, you're absolutely right. He's got the credentials. People take him seriously. And, you know, when we think of what Hussein's done and wooden furniture, wooden
Yeah.
clothes and things, and what Lee McQueen did, and of course what Vivienne Westwood did and still does. You know, I applaud this idea that we have in London that you can break out of the mould and still be taken seriously. I don't think you can do that sort of collection very often, because I've talked to buyers and they're saying, what do we do? You know? And this is the great dichotomy, isn't it, with fashion. Is it art or is it commerce? Well, it can be art, we know this, but it can't be art for very long if it doesn't have the commercial thing, you know? Can we talk about the way clothes are dressed up? I'm thinking particularly of the wooden head gear that got the front cover of an awful lot of papers, particularly the tabloids. What do we feel about that? Did that help you to understand the clothes? Were the clothes so complicated you needed something, or was it just, well, let's get the front page? What do you think?
I think I haven't seen them up close, but I think Craig Green's clothes are fairly simple in terms of silhouette, and there's a lot of very kind of basic, almost like sportswear forms in that, like a sort of a sweatshirt and a loose trouser. But there's so much like surface embellishment on there, and I think the headpiece has really added to that, almost like a flotsam and jetsam idea of these things being built up in layers, almost like a kind of post-apocalyptic look, really.
Did anyone feel unhappy about the head, the way the head was treated?
I think part of the design is, and it's not a fault of it, is designed to make you feel unhappy and feel uncertain, but that's done in a way that provokes debate and discussion, and I think it also is quite interesting for me to have seen that as well, because I saw his graduate collection from St Martin's, and
Did he do the same sort of
he
strange
had,
thing?
but he this season he pushed it, that one step further, and to see that transition meant that I could see it wasn't just a gimmick. It wasn't just about grabbing the front page. It's a genuine aesthetical interest of his. That's what I think.
Does anyone not agree with that?
I think sometimes it can distract from your actual garments, your looks, and I think sometimes, especially when you're trying to establish yourself, I think more focus should be on kind of representing your skills and your actual aesthetic, and then sometimes it can distract, but again it kind of helps the viewer to kind of see where the designer's perspective and where he's coming from.
I think my problem with it is that I thought it was very brave, and I think that's great, and everyone should admire that, but I don't think it was coherent enough with the clothing. You know, I think if the designer's going to something very dramatic, which is an accessory which isn't wearable, it usually kind of flows with the clothing and the whole outfit more fluidly, and I don't feel like it did. And I think that's how it was more distracting.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yes, I think that's probably true. They didn't add in any way to the clothes. In fact, they were a completely different language, which makes you think, well, was it just a gimmick to get the photographers excited, which it did? And if so, is that what we want in London at this point? It's taken a long time for us to be confident enough to have a menswear season in London. This is our second. The first one was very successful and people took it seriously. Is this going to set us back a bit? You know, the fact that certain newspapers, which I'm not allowed to mention, went to town on it about how stupid fashion is and all the rest of it. And none of us sitting here think it's stupid. So why give people who really we want to woo and get on our side, why give them the excuse of just being lazy and dismissing it and say, it's over rubbish? You know, young kids sort of playing around and have no idea of the world and what's happening.
I think as a fashion student, I think that, like you said, he sort of moved the idea from his graduate collection into his first commercial collection, this idea of these wooden constructions, and that maybe what worked within the context of a fashion educational environment where everyone was on the same kind of wavelength and the tutors and your peers were used to seeing things in a certain way and addressing things in a certain way that you presented to them, then it might not work out in the commercial world. I think that you sort of do things within your college that everyone else gets around you because they're all thinking like you, but when you show it, people don't really know how to react to it, and obviously it kind of invites a little bit of ridicule, but I think that's nothing new. I think it's been happening for hundreds of years. When sort of new fashions come out, you sort of...
With men, so with women to a degree as well.
Yeah.
Well, what I do find interesting is that within menswear, obviously London's really fantastic because a lot of the clothing is more dramatic and ostentatious than menswear around the world. But in terms of putting an object like a plank of wood on a man's face, what does that mean? And was Craig Green trying to make a statement with it? And what you know, I think if you've looked at designers like, I don't know, Alexander McQueen, for example, if he did something that had these props which weren't wearable, it was always a statement about the woman or something like that. But what, you know, it's a very strange thing to put wood over someone's face. And was it supposed to have a meaning, or was it a gimmick? You know, because
I thought that the collection was great. Like, it was one of my favorites, the clothes. But I do agree that the wooden fixtures on the face didn't really add much to it. But I just think that maybe designers tend to, I guess, like when you draw, it's almost like I just saw it as a form of expression, really. I've heard somewhere anyways that like his father's like a carpenter or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if my sources are correct, but maybe that's a form of his way of expression, or like to differentiate himself from other designers maybe.
Yes.
But in terms of seeing it as a show, I don't really feel like it added anything to the value of the clothes.
If it had been something, as you rightly say, which helped us to understand the clothes, as certainly McQueen always did, then no matter how shocking or extraordinary or even silly it looks, if you think about it, you get the story, you get the message. But I just couldn't see any message. What do you think about all this?
I think it just comes down to that debate again, whether you're creating fashion to make a statement or whether you're creating fashion to make a business. And I think London is kind of the arena where you can work that out. And I think it's interesting seeing how designers go on from London to then show in Paris or Milan or whatever, and see how they adapt to the city, or how that story of their aesthetic transcends in different with different audiences, and I think it's strange to see more successful or renowned designers like Yoji and how their own journey through different cities as well, and how that's changed their design.
Yeah, that's very interesting. We'll come back to that, 'cause I think we now have enough images for us to start thinking and talking about Yohji Yamamoto. Okay, so let's just move them across so we see 3 or 4 before we start thinking, well, what is it all about, and do we like it, and all the rest. I wonder what music they're playing. How Yoji do you think this is?
It's a lot of black.
Yeah.
A lot of black, we do
That's
expect
very
that.
Yoji.
What do we think of the shapes? Let's go back to the beginning again.
I was thinking it's a lot neater, especially on the upper body. Well, not maybe that one, but the later ones. The tailoring is much kind of
It's crisper.
yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
more fitted.
sharper.
Yes.
I think it is very Yoji in terms of his signature. You know, the dropped blazer and coat,
Yes.
the cropped trousers.
Mhm.
And the quirky element of his mustache.
Well, he's very practiced. He's been doing it for a very long time, and I think he absolutely has his own aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
And all he's doing really is finding new ways of developing it and presenting it. Would you agree with that? You know, we're talking about a master here. You know, a really experienced and senior creator. I must say, this is all rather fun. Now, if that was in England, would you say, well, it's a gimmick?
Yeah, I think you would.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I was saying. You know, cities provide a different arena for how they look at fashion, and I think that's something maybe inbuilt into their culture. You know, Paris has the couture heritage, Milan has the pret-a-porter background as well, and you know how they approach the way they look at fashion is going to be different to how we look at fashion in London.
You don't think we're going to have a rash of huge mustachios everywhere? I don't think I could stand it. What's happening to the collar there? Is it velvet, do you think, or what do you think it is?
I think it's the same. It's just popped up.
It's just because
Yeah,
it's
it's
a shadow.
It's a
isn't it?
shadow.
just
Okay, let's
styled.
have the next one, please. We liking the trousers, or is it a skirt? Could
a
that-
long shirt, maybe. I think maybe
looks like
even
a-
coming
Yeah.
from the neck, just under
Do
the
you
tie,
think?
all the way down,
All the way
maybe.
down, almost like a tunic, perhaps.
Or like a really
Yeah.
fine gauge knit or something, maybe.
Yes.
like a dress waistcoat.
Who wouldn't wear that in this room?
I probably wouldn't.
You wouldn't? Why not? No.
I just
Would you? No?
I wear the
I
blazer.
wear everything
I wear
else
the
up
top
there.
part.
Yeah.
Yes. Why not the statement? Because in a way that's what the statement is.
For me, like it's very hard for me to see a man wearing skirts or like things that are even like aprons or something that suggests a skirt. It's a really hard thing personally.
Because a skirt is considered feminine.
It's not because it's feminine, but
Because all over the world,
yeah.
and in all cultures,
Yeah.
men have worn
And kilts,
skirts
you know,
and
with
kilts,
kilts and stuff.
you know.
It's not
so
about.
why is it hard for you?
I think it's, for me, it's personal preference maybe, but I feel men never really do much justice like wearing it for some reason, apart from, kilts because it's a traditional thing, but as something for a fashion statement or something, I just always felt that it doesn't really serve much purpose or a statement to me at all. Like, I just think
Right.
sometimes.
What's the woman's view on this?
A man wearing a skirt.
Well, it's something which is long and not bifurcated. We won't necessarily even call it a skirt. What do you think?
I think it completely depends on what it's worn with and what context it's worn with. I don't think I could actually have a statement and say this is what I feel about it, because it would completely vary on who was wearing it, where they were wearing it, and what they were wearing it with. And then it would turn into something else completely. But with this, I don't see it as a skirt or a dress.
Well,
But I think it might look very beautiful on a woman as well.
yes. Well, I think we've seen enough non-bifurcated, not trousers over the years now to not be shocked and to not think that they are feminine, really. I mean, I saw a very old man with a big beard, a bit eccentric, and he was walking towards me, and I looked, and then I looked again, as we came, and he was wearing a black skirt. Now, I turned and looked at the comment. It wasn't kilt with the pleats there, it was a skirt. He was wearing it with such elegance and as if it was the most normal thing in the world, and with total confidence. I thought, no one is going to point at him and laugh, because he just had that confidence and that authority. You know, it was quite a surprise.
Well, I suppose a lot of men wouldn't feel confident wearing that, and that if someone doesn't have confidence when they're wearing something, you can really see it on them, and I think that's where a lot of the problem lies.
I do agree with the idea of the context, because for me, if someone was wearing a short skirt with a suit or something, or as a musician playing in a gig or something like that to me, I think would be fine and cool, and I would want to be that, because like it's all about, like you said, like confidence, that you kind of overlook the fact that he's wearing a skirt and you just like think that he's a stylish person.
Okay, let's have a look at another. This is very much more traditional, obviously. Another strange bit of hair on his face. What do you feel about this?
I'm not a particularly fan of the belts.
No.
I think you've seen it quite a lot, and it looks
Yes.
a bit. Don't know really.
It's a sort of half belt, isn't it?
It's a bit distracting.
I don't know really.
I think it would be nicer if it was absolutely pure.
I think so.
But then would it just be boring?
Yeah, it'd
Well,
just be.
I wonder.
No, I don't think necessarily.
Seems like something for commercial purposes,
Yeah.
to add the belt in.
He doesn't appear to have a shirt or anything underneath.
No.
I guess that would change it quite a lot, wouldn't it? And make it much more, well, normal, really, I suppose. Not that I think there's anything particularly abnormal. Why shouldn't one have a half belt? You know, there's no reason at all, really.
I think the beard's tucked in somehow.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, I think it's tucked in inside the.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Oh.
I like the way the moustache kind of echoes the
The
shirt.
shape,
Yeah,
the
the
shirt,
shirt as well.
yes.
I think that's one of his signature silhouettes, like the oversized, boxy
Yes.
trousers and the jacket.
Yes.
I think there's something very particular about his aesthetic. You can instantly tell that, like, it's a Yoji piece. It's the color palette, and he kind of reworks. He's got his own staples where he reworks it seasonally, and I think with this particular one, I think it works really well with the facial hair, even though it's quite far-fetched, but it's very him.
Well, I think you're right. I think it couldn't really be anybody but Yoji. There's just something about it, the proportions, the shape, the way the trousers join the jacket. I think that this is his territory, really, his own territory. Do we agree with that or disagree? Okay, next one, please. What's happening there?
It looks like a sarong, doesn't it, rather than a skirt?
Yes.
Because on the photo, the photo before last, you saw the back of the skirt, and it looked like a sarong from where it was tied behind.
Right. Well, there's a long tradition of men wearing sarongs, that's for sure.
Are those, is that a line of buttons there on the?
I think so.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Or is it a zip? No, it wouldn't be a
It's
zip.
buttons.
Buttons, is
It's
it?
buttons. And a bit more normality, and we've got a shirt and a tie as well.
I really like the placement of the pocket there. It's
Yes.
nice.
What's that
Yes,
called?
it's
Napoleonic,
nice.
yeah.
The Napoleonic thing, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Which makes him an uber male straight away, even if he is wearing a sarong.
Compared to the last look, I find this more masculine. I don't know if it's because of the knee-high socks and the undergarments. I feel that it's more kind of wearable, I guess, because it'd be. Yeah, I guess it's just the way it's maybe the overall look, but I feel it's more masculine than the other
It's
one.
how he's wearing boots with it as well, rather
Yeah.
than trainers. It's little details like that, and the jacket seems a little boxier.
Yeah.
Very
Just the-
50s.
I can actually
the,
see that being worn casually here. for some
Oh, I can
reason.
see that being one, certainly.
Yeah.
In this city as well,
Yeah.
actually.
Maybe it reveals like masculine legs, or I don't know. There's something about it that I feel it's more wearable than the earlier one, even though it's more kind of
Yes.
revealing. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's because it's more revealing.
Okay, so we're warming to it a bit. Let's see some more. It's very dark.
It's quite
Like
sort of
Rasputin.
American Civil War, isn't it? Almost.
I'm
That
sorry?
beard, it's quite like an American Civil War sort of uniform, isn't it? That massive beard and that single-breasted kind of tunic.
Civil War.
Yeah.
Yes, I wonder if that is where his inspiration comes from.
The trousers are even like there's a row of buttons down the hem
looks like
Yes.
joggers or-
side.
yeah.
Yes.
Like jot purse.
I think these people, when they first started, the Japanese were seen as being very inaccessible for the West. They just didn't seem to understand the way the West dressed and the way the Western figure was, which now we look back and realize it was rubbish. I mean, because this is universal. I would say that anybody can wear this, really. And that's, I suppose, what being great designers about, you know. Okay. A bit of colour. Who would like to volunteer to describe that? Say what is happening. Any volunteers? Or do I have to
Can
pick
anyone
Shall I give it a
see?
try?
Have a go.
I think it's like a kind of knee-length cardigan coat. I guess it's knit with a belt over a shorter kind of mid-thigh cardigan, and it looks maybe like a heavier knit than the one underneath, and a huge scarf wrapped around, and then quite slim trousers actually, but then gathered at the ankle over some boots. So actually, although it's a really soft fabric, and layers of very soft knit, it's quite a powerful. Maybe it's just the way it's standing as well. It's quite a powerful kind of masculine look, I think. Yeah.
What is interesting is the long knit,
Mm.
the dark blue, actually talking about women's clothing appearing in London, that could actually be a woman's knitted dress, could it not? It would be rather interesting if we're going to have this increased crossover with elements of women's wear in men's fashion, because obviously women have borrowed from men's fashion for a very long time now.
I think you see that really clearly through a Yoji collection as well, because I was watching some interviews back with him, and he was raised by his mother, who was a widow, and he very much saw the world through like a woman's perspective, and the clothes he developed, could be very, very wearable for both genders, I think, and to see that, I think you really see that balance of women's wear, men's wear with Yoji always.
And I suppose really if he was brought up by his mother, he would automatically see a power in femininity, really. Does that make sense? Did any of you see his exhibition down at the V&A?
I did.
You missed that. What did you think of it? Did you see it?
I saw it online. I didn't manage to
All
kind of
right.
catch
Did you
it.
go down and
Yes,
see
I
it?
went to see
What
it.
did you think?
I liked it. It was nice. I was kind of captivated by the samples of his own music, actually.
Yes.
The booths
Yes.
with his like songs and creations. And I liked what he did for with like theater and film. But it was the first time for me to see Yoji's clothes up close. And for me, like from seeing it on a person or in a store or something, it totally changes the way you see how it's made, like when you see it in an exhibition, because I got to study it and stuff. But for me, I always associate Yoji with drapey suits and boiled wool or like black or things like that. But but I thought the exhibition was amazing for you to see his other side and what he's like interested in with music and stuff too.
I thought there were some ravishing things there. How many people are you the only person who went down? Did anyone?
I went down.
You went down? And I think that as he sounding like a teacher, I think you should all take advantage of the fact that there are marvellous exhibitions now. You know, whether they're in New York or whether they're in London, and of course in Paris. You know, less sadly in Milan, and I'm not quite sure why. But you know, we have in the last few years been able to see simply marvellous things. You know. Anyhow, I like that. Do you like that? Are we happy with that? I can see any of you guys, and indeed you, in that. Absolutely. Right, next one. Right.
Looks a bit like Yoji himself.
Actually does. All right. You're absolutely right. I love the little jacket. It's a very pert little jacket, you know. A fun jacket, really.
I think this look is very wearable. I like it.
And is this a skirt on top of trousers
Yes,
again?
on top of
It is.
rolled trousers.
Yes, yes.
Boots.
That's a great compromise, isn't it? To give you trousers and a skirt.
I like that.
And
Yeah.
that's, you like it, do you? So do
Yeah.
I. It's great. Great little jacket. It's a pity we can't see the backs, of course, you know what's happening. But you know, when you're at a show, obviously, you see it all. Actually, I do think that there is no substitute for seeing the clothes moving, really, and seeing them close up, you know, because it's all very intimate, and you really get a sense of how the person who's wearing it is actually feeling, is he or she is coming down. Let's keep them moving. That's quite a change, isn't it? That's getting much more Western, I suppose, and much more what one would imagine menswear would be.
Even the choice of model as well. I think it feels a bit more American, you know, the slick sort
Yes.
of
But even
jock.
in comparison to the other models, they've all these big beards, and he's very smart looking.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's a
it's
change
very
in model, which
crisp.
is very interesting.
Yeah, it's very sharp.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's something Yoji does as well, so well, in terms of, you know, the spectacle of the show. He always has that, you know, a balance between the older gentleman and the, you know, a really young boy. And I think that you know is a really good thing in terms of his target market. You know, people say it's wearable from anyone that's 17 up to 70. I think that comes through with, you know, this choice of models.
Yes, I think that is true of Japanese design generally. I think that all you need is a certain attitude of mind. Age doesn't matter so much. And actually, with Yoji, I don't even think figure matters so much, you know. It's all a question of attitude. What would you call that colour? Of course, the colour might be slightly off, but is that sort of
It looks almost like a maroon.
maroon? Yes, a berry sort of colour, which I think is lovely with the black.
And the colour of the tie and the shirt, it's really
Yes.
beautiful colours together.
Is this a silly word, or do you feel, as I do, that there's a certain dignity about that?
Yeah.
As soon as I saw it, actually, the double-breasted lapels coming up over the, I guess it's the thing on
another
top,
blazer.
like
Yeah.
another blazer. It sort of reminded me of sort of the schoolmasters where they used to have their suit jackets underneath their long kind of gowns, so you get
Right,
different colours, and
yes.
that's immediately
Yes.
I thought of that.
Actually, it could be like an academic gown, you're absolutely
Maybe,
right.
yeah.
If
That's
it
what
was
I-
longer, if the black blazer was
and it has
longer.
that kind of clerical kind of dignity to it, I think.
Yeah. So we're liking that, yes, are we? I like that very much. Okay, let's see what he does with that, or whether it's just a sort of punctuation mark. Same colour, that's knitted, of course, isn't it? Yes.
Now he looks like a schoolboy.
schoolboy.
Yeah.
What?
He looks like a schoolboy now.
Yes, he does, that's true.
But there's something very casual about it as well. It's like a
I think with men, the longer the skirt, the better it works. Would you think that?
That almost just looks like a schoolgirl's outfit made for a man. in a
Well,
weird way.
yes. Yes, we see lots of
Minus
schoolgirls
the mini
like that.
pleats and
I'd love to see the back. Do you think it's like a kilt and has got pleats Because it seems to have a lot of movement.
There's a big pleat at the
Space.
front, I think.
Is it
Oh yeah, there's a box.
Oh yes,
pleat.
look at the bottom. I think you're right.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes. Pleated skirt. Mm-hmm.
I like how it looks kind of dusty. I'm not sure if that's the
Mm.
textile.
I don't know.
It looks like there's white spots.
Yeah, it might be like a
Yeah.
polka dot.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, it wouldn't be, yes, it'd be very small.
Mm.
I'm sorry it's such a traditional tie. It would be nice if you'd done something. Perhaps you wanted to keep it pure and make us look at the things we've looked at. Another? Oh, wow.
Feels quite Vivienne Westwood.
It doesn't it? Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Not so easy to see your average man walking down the street in that, I think.
Yeah.
And yet it doesn't look feminine.
No, not at all.
Not a bit.
No.
But men tend to be a bit frightened of pattern, I think.
Mm.
Bold.
No, I was going to say, if you split it up and didn't wear it as a suit, I think it's perfectly wearable. Trousers or something, and the jacket or something, but I don't think as a whole suit is a real statement. But I think it looks great there, like so. Yeah, it's a real kind of masculine, but it's such a classic silhouette, really, isn't it?
But it is very very
I think going back to that, I think that's what he's really good at doing. You can break each look up and there's something for everyone, like it's very accessible. But at the same time, when he kind of creates his look, it's very different. It's a lot of it's something that you could break down and kind of filter into any kind of look, but the way he kind of portrays it, it's very different again when you look at it.
How do you think that jacket would look by itself? It seems
I
to
think
me
it
to be
could-
quite heavy and long for a man's jacket.
I don't think it is
That's
long, because if you look at it
nostalgic.
length compared to the sleeve length, it's almost it looks like it's higher than the sleeve length.
Well, yes, I suppose that's true.
But is that just the trick of that piece
Maybe.
of blue fabric that is,
Or maybe the way he's holding his arm. Not quite
Yes.
Where does that piece of blue fabric go?
I think it's part of the shirt.
Yeah.
The
It
shirt
seems
goes
to go-
right down.
Yeah, it
Oh,
could be.
Yes,
so.
it could. Yes. It's interesting to see the back of the other one.
Yeah, I was just thinking that I really like
Yeah.
suits with it.
Yes. And I love the length of the
Very nice
cardigan
proportions.
or
Yeah.
whatever it is, you know.
how it sits just above that black skirt or trouser, whatever it is.
It looks great from the back.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see some more. Ah,
I love the styling of the tie to the side.
Do you think the tie's meant to be like that to one side?
yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Oh, I
You have
think
to
whatever
tuck it.
comes up.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Very considered.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, he might be standing there and he might have just at the last minute thought, I want more colour to be shown.
Yeah.
You know. It's fascinating watching them behind the scenes and how everyone obviously comes in front of the maestro who decides whether it's right or something.
I think if you just continue those trousers down to the floor, it'd be just like a kind of a classic 1940s American suit, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, or even earlier, the Oxford bags,
Yeah.
you know. And it's got a period feel. It's a lot of it's to do with
The styling.
the
as well.
hat, really.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I really like the trousers. They're like
Yeah.
culottes.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
Mm.
Yeah, I like
absolutely.
the trousers. They're nice.
There's been quite a lot of double-breasted.
Mm.
Do young guys find that an attractive look? I see very, very few young people in a double-breasted thing. I mean, traditionally they were for men who were getting fat, who didn't want people to see their stomachs, you know. But there's been quite a lot in the last couple of seasons, really. And it does look very good on our tall, slim, we assume these are reasonably tall guys, I'm sure they are, slim figure. And that's like, what I like about it is the jacket's baggy, a bit baggy, and so are the trousers. If you were told that you could have that, would you want it?
No.
Boys, yeah.
Yeah.
Would you want it? 'Cause a woman
Maybe
could,
the trousers.
A woman could wear that.
Yeah, I could wear
think,
it.
yeah. Okay, that's really interesting, I think. What do we think so far? I think this is a very interesting collection.
Mhm.
Let's see some more. I love the way he keeps playing with quite traditional things.
Mhm.
That looks to me as if it's a cashmere coat, probably of beautiful quality. Does it look that way to you? Or?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I love the colour of that coat against the black.
Yes,
Mhm.
I was just going to
Really-
say cashmere of that colour, it's like
Yeah.
camel,
Mhm.
Yeah.
a sort of camel colour, and black
Yeah.
are a classic
Mhm.
And the col-
combination. And the hat looks as if it's brown, which is the other thing that
Mm.
goes. What are you going to
And
say?
the
like
I really love the
leopard.
colour of the lining's really
Yeah.
beautiful with it as
Mm.
well.
Yes.
It's a leopard print on the hat, which is kind of nice, enlarged.
That's really very sophisticated, isn't it?
Mm.
I really like the length of the sarong as well.
It's very nice proportions.
Yes.
Mhm.
The coat is sort of knee length, isn't it? That's
Mhm.
more or less where the knee would be. Beautiful. Okay. Do you think those lapels are pleasing or
I like this.
I like it.
lovely?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
It's very modest and it looks very comfortable.
Sure, yes,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
What is it made of, that coat? Do you think it's another beautiful cashmere coat or what?
Might be a
Maybe.
wool.
Looks
Yeah.
felt wool felt.
I don't think the collar is very modest. I think it's quite oversized.
Yeah.
Oh yes, did I
Yeah.
say modest? Did someone say
I
modest?
said modest because
Modest.
I don't know the whole image
No,
to
it's
me
not.
is
I
very
think
like
it's modest.
comfortable somehow. And
It's amazing kind of, second
Yeah.
wall.
Yeah, I
kind of
see the
great
sort
coat.
of how
It's kind of
comfortable
like
it
a-
is.
it's
Yeah,
just the
US
way that it's
Navy,
styled. It's like
Yeah.
very like
Mm.
just slapped out, just not
Yeah.
like up.
It's not really
Yeah, it's not.
It's quite a military cut in a way.
Mm.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
I love how he's kind of shown it, how with one side it being up and down,
Yeah.
it's very
Yes.
encased. Like
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it would fit. It'd look beautiful on like the one side. It'd look beautiful on so many different size people.
Yeah.
It's one of them clothes where you can wear it with anything.
Yeah, I think
it'd
you
be beautiful.
probably have to be quite tall to really sort of
Mm.
wear it well
Mm.
and fall.
Mm.
Yep.
You can hide in it.
You have another? No, I'm not quite understanding this.
It's just the long printed cardigan inside the blazer.
It's a cardigan, is it?
Yes, with the belt, the cardigan
Okay.
belt wrapped, I think.
I don't like that look at all.
Why not?
Firstly, I don't like that beard. That's my eyes go straight to that as opposed to the clothes, which
Well,
I think
yes.
is a mistake in the styling. It just, I don't know, it just feels quite safe. It just feels like a suit with a long cardigan put underneath, and there's nothing, neither here nor there about it.
That's quite harsh. Do the rest of you agree with that or not?
I think he's got a good some amount of character to him, I think, with that beard and then with that kind of long droopy cardigan over that sort of shrunken jacket. He has got like a good sense of character about him. I think I agree with you. I don't particularly like the whole look. I think if you took it apart, it's fairly ordinary stuff. I guess sells very well though. But I think it's I think within the context of the show, I think it works.
Are we sure it's a knitted cardigan and not a printed?
It's
fabric?
knitted and printed. I probably printed on top of the knit.
I'm just looking at the sort of
The reverse
Or-
side.
the reverse of it. Yes.
Or are there a jacquard?
I don't know.
I wish the blazer had more texture to it to
Mm.
really.
I think how we were discussing earlier, when a look's black, a lot of the detail gets lost in pictures. But
Yes.
I feel if you were to look at it actually see it, it'd be quite complex knowing Yoji's work.
I'm sure it would be very complex in the cut. Yes.
And I think that's something that I really admire about him. He's got this kind of complex simplicity worked into all of his looks, and I think that if you would see that, actually, it'd probably be very, very interesting.
I think that's a good point. I think the great designers, it's all about the cut. Really, that's what their obsession is. Balenciaga spent years trying to find the perfect armhole, so the sleeve fell completely.
And that's what defines the designer in his
I think
aesthetic,
so.
and that's how you kind of establish
Absolutely,
yourself.
I think that. Yes. It's quite a full skirt.
Seems
It
like
reminds me immediately of women's,
pleated.
18th century women's riding.
I was just going to say, it could have come out of that collection you did, was it a couple of years ago, where it was just purely 18th century sort
Yeah.
of Regency
Yes.
dandies. Yeah,
Yes.
with that really high breaking double-breasted.
Yes. And if you take away the beard and imagine it with a big sort of jabot that they used to wear at that time, I think that's very, very flattering, actually. I think that most men, if they stood straight,
Yep.
would look terrific in that.
But do you think it's just...
I agree.
Actually would look good on women as well. Because it's very like a woman's riding out. Notice how long the jacket is there. That's interesting. And it's very waisted, which is flattering if you have the right figure. It's the classic V, isn't it, really, the top part, into the narrow waist.
Do you think it's flattering though, just because it's black? Like if that was done in a, like a shocking blue, would it still be flattering? Do you think it's flattering because of the cut or just because it's black?
Well, black is always flattering.
Yeah.
What do the rest of you feel? Who wants to answer?
Yeah, I do agree. I don't think
You do?
I don't think it would be flattering in a different color at all. I think the black makes it sophisticated somehow in this look particularly. But I do wish that the skirt's a little longer.
Right down to the ankles.
Yeah. I think it would be
And I
nice.
quite like it. It's slightly awkward, that length, which I think is often his clothes. They're very easy, sort of very loose and very soft and easy to wear, but there's also a slight kind of gawkiness or a slight, almost like it's someone else's garment that you've put on, really.
Borrowed clothes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the colour actually emphasises the silhouette and the cut on this one. It's overall it looks beautiful. I think the way it's done, the way it's cut, I think the proportions are correct for this one in terms of where the pocket's placed and everything. I think it's more wearable than some of the other looks as well. Maybe with
the more
Mhm.
tightly tailored is more wearable than loose.
I don't think it's that tightly tailored, this particular one, but I think with the length of the coat and the kind of flowiness of the undergarment, I think it's more wearable. It's more of a one. The other ones were quite fitted towards the bottom. I think this one it'd probably just look.
Well, it certainly looks good on him. Would we agree? It looks, well, it's very sophisticated, right? Let's move on and see what else we've got. Now, this, you were right, it is a knitted, very long cardigan coat, really, I suppose you could call it.
It's a jacquard.
On a night like tonight, when it's slightly cold, it would be lovely to be able to wrap yourself in that before you get done.
We've seen a lot of leopard print for men this season.
Yes, that's true, actually, yes. I get a little more of animal prints, I have to say. It's an awful lot. Yes. That's a sort of young feel. All right, zebra as well.
Colour as well, that pop of colour.
Yes, yes. Let's go on and see how many of these he does. That, I love the grey and the black of that.
I like how
that
pure it
coat.
is. The black tunic
Do you think
is so
that's another
pure.
cardigan?
I think so.
Yeah.
I love the idea of these long cardigan
Yeah, I
coats.
do.
I would have thought they'd be very popular, I think. They would certainly
Yeah.
well. Because they're very relaxed and dégagé, but they're also quite formal, really. You know?
I really like the tunic. It's very pure and nice.
Yes.
Captures a good essence against the beard as well.
What are you thinking about the back of the one that's just...
I was going to mention that. It doesn't look too flattering, does it?
No, it doesn't.
No.
It looks like he has a big
Not
bum.
at all.
The waist is so kind
Yeah.
of high, isn't it, on the jacket?
Yes.
And that open pleat, the way it's placed.
Yes.
I like how the trousers were tucked into the boots.
That's nice. Well, I think it's nice. You're the ones who are supposed to be giving your opinions, not me. What do we think?
I really love the colour. The colour's beautiful, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very sophisticated, slightly strange colour.
Yeah.
Looks a little bit top heavy maybe, I'm not quite sure.
I don't feel that.
Yeah, I think it gives a sense of a nice proportion somehow.
I like the
Tricks
contrast
your
between
eyes.
You like the what?
the contrast between the footwear and the formality of the overall look.
Mhm.
What's he wearing under that skirt? Are they tights?
I think they look like tights.
Yeah,
don't
they
they?
look
Yeah.
like
Tights.
tights.
Well, they could be long socks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think they're probably more like...
Yeah, like leggings.
Mm.
The skirt doesn't bother me in this look at all. I think I like it.
Actually, we're so used to them now, we just think
Yeah.
it's part of the look, really. I mean, it's different in that it's deeply pleated, I think. Do you think that's a skirt, or do you think it's very wide trousers?
I think it's probably a skirt.
It's a skirt.
Yes.
Is
The
this
line
a-
of that jacket's beautiful, the curve.
Oh, yes.
Mm.
Is there a fur or something
Yeah, that's what I was
there?
going to say. I think
Yeah.
it's like another cardigan, possibly.
I'm sorry, is
There's
that?
like a bit
another
of fur
cardigan
or
behind,
something.
fur at the back. It's like a tail.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
yes.
a keychain. or
Mhm.
something.
Yes. Well, maybe in a minute we'll see the back when it's disappearing.
Mm.
I like the beret.
Yes. I'm not so happy about the two colour. This is... What do you feel about that?
Hmm.
I'm not too keen on the print.
Yeah, I don't really
I
like
think the
that
print's
print.
distracting
Mm.
and not a very good colour to go, like it's very dark. It's compared to the black, it kind of blends in but then really obvious as well at the same time. But other than that, I think the look's good if the print wasn't there.
Right.
I'd agree, actually.
Yeah, I wish that was black. It's completely black and accented by the fur rug thing that comes out. I'm not sure what that is.
I just don't think it has the authority that a
Yeah.
lot of what we've seen has. Again, another one, please. I'm interested in the number of people who've done, both in London and elsewhere, the sudden flash of scarlets. You know, does it add or does it break up the feeling? Oh, look at the one that we've just seen. Look at it from the back. It's very odd.
Hmm.
You do wish they were here in front of you,
Yeah.
don't you? Really.
Twirling around.
It's,
right.
yes, it's very tantalising. You know you're not getting the full picture. You like that? A little bit of scarlet on?
I like the red, the color.
You do?
Yeah, I like the red. The color. That's nice.
I think that one's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Waist is lovely, yeah.
that's one, if you wanted to sort of pick 4 or 5 pieces and
Mhm.
say this is what Yoji's doing this season,
Mhm.
that would probably
Yeah.
have to be one,
Mhm.
I think.
I think it's really interesting as well to look at from a communicative perspective the use of the colour pink as well in the setting behind and the carpet, and how, you know, Yoji obviously has that signature black thread throughout his collection, and how the set as well is used to sort of accentuate that silhouette as well. I think that's really intelligent.
Well, absolutely certainly, it's not just gratuitous, it
Mm.
all would have been thought through,
Yeah.
of course, as you know. Yep.
This is my
Is that
least.
flower?
That's my least favourite moustache out of all of them.
Yes, I see what you mean. Is that fur or is it what?
It's shearling, I think.
Sheepskin,
It's a
yeah.
sheepskin. isn't
Yeah,
it?
sheepskin.
Is it just the lapel and the lining that's like it, or is it the whole?
I think it's just turned inside.
But it does look like
It's
it
just the
drops down
inside.
to
It's
the
just like
bottom
a
there, doesn't it?
shearling coat.
Right. It suddenly all looks terribly normal.
Yeah,
It's very
quite
commercial.
unexpected, really, isn't it?
Yes, and
Could be like a Savaro.
Yeah.
no,
So,
yeah, it couldn't
yeah.
be
It's not.
anywhere. But
Yeah.
it's a surprise that he's put
Yeah.
that in. And maybe he's rounding up to the end. I don't know how many more we have to see.
Oh,
Kind of big apron.
aprons.
Another one, please. Let's see if he develops this apron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. That again is pretty traditional, isn't it?
Mm.
I guess these are the ones that really will sell. Beautifully cut, traditional overcoat that a businessman or a city man could wear. Yes.
You know, when we were mentioning about color before, and Greg, you mentioned it, the one before with the white apron, I found it very unpleasing to the eye, but when it becomes, when the second one comes with the navy blazer, it seems very, to me, like, I don't mind it at all. With
Would
this.
do the rest of you feel that white apron was a bit
I
too
think
much?
Bit jarring, I think.
Jarring?
I think it's the connotations of a white apron over
Yeah.
a navy blue apron.
Yeah.
You know,
It's very costumey in this.
yeah.
Yes, it is a bit. What period does it make you think of? To me, with the beard, it makes me think of Victorian times
Yeah.
or 19th century. You know?
Mhm. Like the southern.
That coat looks very luxurious and beautiful.
I love this look. I like the. It's very Yoji.
Yep. That's it. No, it's not. I thought it was long place. Now, this is where I think he parts company with men. I don't think many men are ready for something that looks overtly like a fur coat. We were talking about this morning, and I don't know why men have a thing about fur coats. Maybe it's because they're considered so glamorous in a feminine way. But I'm not talking about whether you approve or disapprove of fur, because this is almost certainly fur, but wouldn't need to be. You could get the same effect with artificial fur. But men don't seem to be just able to get over that line which makes it too feminine. Or am I wrong? What do you think? Which of you would wear a fur coat?
It depends on the cut, really, and the detailing. I think for me, you see so much like fantastic military pieces that are fur-lined, and they have this great flamboyance to them, but they're so masculine. And I think if it was cut like that, I'd probably wear it, and I'd probably understand it. But I think this is with the kind of rounded shoulders and the kind of really long pile of the fur all over. It's got more of a
I
feminine.
think it's to do with the length of the fur as well. It's a little bit difficult.
Yes, this is very like a raccoon coat that in the 20s,
Yeah.
the Ivy League, Princeton, Harvard, Yale, whatever, guys used to wear. Well, some of them did. And they certainly look masculine enough in the pictures, and they look very, very attractive. But I'm not sure how many raccoons have to be killed, slaughtered to get one big coat.
It's like a jumpsuit and a tailored jacket
Yes.
combined.
What do we
I
think?
think it's styled that way. I think the tailored jacket's on, but then half of the jumpsuit is put over the
What do you
jacket.
think? Do you like?
I think if it's styled in that way, I quite
Yeah.
like the look. But I
Yeah.
think if it's manufactured in that way, I think it's a bit
Yeah, I
a
agree.
bit studenty. I mean, I've done similar things for my
Well,
students, but
It's a bit trixier,
Yeah.
it seems to me.
I think it's a bit of
sorry.
sorry.
Go
I think
on.
it's a bit of a throwback to his women's wear collection last season when he presented just, plain military jumpsuits. And I think something in this collection is that balance between female and male clothing and whether, you know, men can wear women's clothing, and I think it's a nice take on balancing those two out in reference specifically to that back show as well.
Yes.
I like the styling. I think it was interesting.
Well, it's fun to have some pattern, isn't it? Big, bold pattern. Because it's been quite sort of monochromatic, really. Shall we move on and see what else there is? Do you think that's real fur or do you think it's imitation? Difficult to say, isn't it?
It almost looks like it's knitted.
It
The
could
yarn
be
is,
yes, yes.
I
it
think
could
it's a
actually be
knitted.
that, couldn't it? Like mohair.
Yeah.
Or something. Yes.
Hand knitted, maybe.
Yeah, I think you're right. Actually, I think they aren't fur. These ones aren't fur at all.
More leopard print.
I like how that print's broken up. You know, it's echoed in the
Yeah.
trouser, and then you've got that black. I don't know if there's another skirt over the top of that.
I think it's skirt. A beautiful one if we look at the side there. Yep.
The metallic, is it print?
Yeah.
I think it's print. What do you think?
I think it's
metallic print.
yeah.
metallic crocodile. Like it's
Oh,
like
really?
a crocodile print, yeah.
Right.
What's the shirt made of? Is it mesh?
It's
It looks
like a
It's
sheer,
like a sheer.
sheer cotton or something.
There's something rather jolly about that.
Yeah.
I think. What do I call it? Good humoured look. Really.
I think we see a lot of these sweaters and jumpers with words and text and
Yes.
everywhere.
Yes, it's true. There's a feeling.
It's a great commercial piece. I guess it's very now.
Yes. Something very Scottish about that. I guess it's the hat. Well, it's not a hat, it's really a bonnet, isn't it? It's a Highland bonnet.
And that moustache.
That waistline
Yes.
as well.
I think the
Really
cardigan's
old-fashioned waist.
really
Yes.
beautiful though.
Yeah, I like how the cardigan stops exactly where the
Yeah,
skirt
that's
stops.
nice.
Yes.
Even the moustache doesn't prevent it from looking like a schoolboy look.
Mm.
It's still very young.
I could see a lot of guys wearing that if they had just had the courage and looking terrific, really.
Mm.
Is that
They're little shorts, aren't they?
Yeah, they're little.
Very large clip attire, I guess that is.
Mm.
It's quite comedic.
Yes.
Fred Flintstone.
It's like good humor.
Is that printed, the shirt?
No.
I'm
Oh.
sure.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah,
I think
it
so.
is.
It's
You
like
see the
printed like a
buttons.
tie. Like seems like it's moving on to the humorous parts.
Yes. I think there is scope for wit in men's wear,
Yeah, absolutely.
more so than in women's, perhaps. I don't know.
I think there are more established codes really that you can kind of play with. And,
Yes, subvert
Mm.
what everyone expects, yes. Whereas with women's wear, people don't say, there we are.
There we go.
Great. So, a very quick reaction. Like or not like?
I like it. I think the skirts didn't bother me at all. Like in the beginning, I thought it would bother me, but I like the juxtaposition between this women's and men's aesthetic, and I think he did it successfully. I like the humor towards
Yes.
the end in it too.
Yeah.
I liked it. I think it was signature Yoji. It was the only thing I didn't like was the furs. I think no matter like how much you pay attention to cut or detail, it kind of gets hidden, and it kind of looked very, very normal. But overall, I loved it. And broken down, it's something for everyone. You can filter it into any look. It's accessible. I think anyone can find something within that collection for themselves.
Good. Okay.
I really, really loved the cashmere cardigans. I just thought they were so elegant for a man. And I think they were definitely my favourite pieces. I think they're really beautiful. And I think the lengths of the trousers and the boots together were just really lovely. So I really like that a lot.
I think we're saying, well, let's see what you two guys feel.
Yeah, I was going to say I really like these cardigans as well. I think it's that subtle play again on women's wear meets men's wear, and I think Yoji does that really well. And I think the fact that he's done that, he can always sort of get away with doing that.
Well, it's not a question of getting away, is it?
Yeah.
The fact is, he's so practiced.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's one of the great creators.
Mm-hmm.
He just knows
He
how
just
to do it.
does it,
He
yeah.
just gets it,
Yeah.
you know, which I think is great.
Yeah, I think overall I liked it. I think some of the looks are a bit sort of safe, like kind of just ticking the boxes of being Yohji Yamamoto in a way, but I think some of the, particularly like the kind of trimmer cuts, the jackets and those amazing waists were really good. And I wasn't keen on the animal print though, to be honest. I think it felt a bit just sort of like shoved in there for the sake of it, just using it as a knit or using it as a print.
Right.
I'd have liked it with a bit more.
Well, I would like to sort of stick my neck out and say, I don't think anything's just shoved in at this
No.
level.
Mm-hmm.
I think everything is an overall picture, which we might not get. Because sometimes even when you're there and seeing them and all the excitement and the music, which always helps, of course, because that's very carefully chosen, even then you sometimes don't quite get it. But I don't think there's anything
No.
gratuitous.
Well, I think
at
maybe
this level.
just in terms of some of the scale of the prints they used and the where it was used, those looks with the animal prints in, I thought they could have come from maybe a different designer, maybe.
Oh. Did anyone else think that?
Particularly the neon animal
I
prints.
feel like Yoji, even though it might look it's like uncalculated, but I feel like to me he's very calculated. Like everything is
Yes.
so considered in that show.
Yes. What great designer isn't, though,
Yeah.
if you think
Yeah.
about it? Would that have stolen the week if it had been shown in London, or would London have not perhaps entirely understood it?
I don't think
You've seen a lot of the others, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it would have stolen the show at all.
No?
I think if you put it in the context of London, it would feel not safe, but it's not pushing to an extreme,
Mm-hmm.
which I feel like London, the designers in London are doing at this sort of stage of the game.
Okay, Ron, what do you, let's go through and hear what you all think.
About
Do you think that would have been the best show
in London?
if it had been shown in London?
No,
No?
I don't think so.
I feel it could fit in with the London scene, like McQueen did something similar, but in a more very English gentleman kind of way. But I think it's more suited to Paris, where it's a more defined aesthetic, whereas London's very diverse, so it probably doesn't suit it as much.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't really make my mind up. I think it was, I think there was so much, but for me what's really drawn me in is just the beauty of the pattern cutting was so fantastic. And I think with Yoji there's just such a kind of wonderful beauty to it that I don't really associate with so many London designers. And I think that's where it's different. I don't think it necessarily stolen the show, but I think it's kind of there's just differences there that Yoji has in Paris that he doesn't have in London, and I think I can't really distract those two things that easily.
Okay. Makes sense.
I think it definitely fitted in. There's so many kind of male archetypes being played with and being kind of referenced and overturned. But no, I think it would just fitted in very nicely. I don't think it would have particularly
Still in the show.
No.
I think if it was all like colorful and printed, maybe. Because I think his show was much more. It will be like too sophisticated for London almost. Not saying that London's not sophisticated, but like London's all about, like for me, London Fashion Week is about the first impression, the bang, the statement, the color, or the next big shocking thing you can put on a model. But I don't think it would be appropriate in London, unless like maybe the beards were leopard printed or like I don't know. I think so.
One last question. Is it commercial?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm,
Not sure?
yeah, I'm kind of on the fence. I think majority of it is, but there's just some pieces which I don't think have like a commercial lessons in them.
There are pieces there which I don't think are necessarily meant to be commercial.
Mhm.
They're meant to show the way he's thinking
Mm-hmm.
about masculinity, about fabric, about shape, and balance, and all the rest of it. Well, I'm going to say thank you very much indeed
Yeah.
for thinking and giving us your views, and I'm sure that everyone enjoyed them. Very, very interesting, and I look forward to seeing what you're all going to do in the future. It seems to me you all seem to know very definitely what you're talking about, which is fabulous. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank,
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.